Hello F8 Audit and Assurance students. Hope you all are doing well. Today we will start chapter number 4 and lecture number 4 Auditors Report and Types of Opinions ISA 700 series and ISA 570. In the previous 3 lectures we covered about the origin of the assurance, components of financial statements, and in the last chapter, the chapter 3, we covered the audit evidence and the audit procedures. I have been telling you these things from the start that first 4 lectures are the most important lectures for your entire AA syllabus. If you have not watched or skipped any of the previous lecture, then please watch the previous lectures, then move to the next lecture. Because in the first 4 chapters, the core structure of the entire AA syllabus have been discussed. If you remember in the lecture number 1, we covered the origin of the assurance, why assurance is important, who provide the assurance, and on what matters the assurance provided. Also the types of the assurance. In the chapter number 2, we discussed about the principles, essentials of the proper audit, auditor's responsibility, management responsibility, expectation gap, professional skepticism, and other things, the framework. Now, in the chapter 3, we discuss about the audit evidence, types of evidence, how to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Then we discuss about the audit procedures, types of procedures, and the risk assessment at financial statement level and at assertion level. Now, from chapter 5, we will start the actual audit from planning to the finalization. But again, repeating, today is the last lecture which will give you the entire overview of your AA syllabus. So please do not skip any topic or any previous lecture. Today's lecture is very important. Without this lecture, you will not able to complete your exam because this is the actual chapter which will give you the understanding of the opinions and type of opinions. Also tells you about the other matters. Once we start reading this chapter, you will get more clarity. So this is chapter number 4, Audit and Assurance. Topic, Auditors Report and Types of Opinions. In today's lecture, we have 10 to 11 learning objects. Let's start with the learning object number 1, in which we cover the elements of the auditor's report. So, first we have a core or basic elements. Always the report start with the title. Title means who is giving the report. If you remember the lecture number 1, independent auditors report, we are an independent assurance provider. So title is about the auditor's report shall have a title that clearly indicate that this is independent auditor's report. In the next stage, when I will show you the actual audit report, then you will get the more clarity. So, always start with the title. Title is necessary to differentiate auditor's report from other reports. Other reports such as director's report and internal auditor's report. That's why the independent auditor's report title is very important. Now, addressee. Addressee are the person to whom this report is provided. If you remember, the users, shareholders, or stakeholders. Now, the auditor's report shall be addressed according to requirements of law or circumstances. Report is usually addressed to members in case of statutory audit, remember required by law, or BOD, Board of Directors in case of voluntarily audit. Now guys, once title and addressee to whom this report is provided done, then the actual, you can say, the paragraph of the auditor's report will be started. Now guys, opinion, auditor's opinion means in what should be the opinion, like which opinion is the auditor's report presented in the audit report. Opinion is based on the misstatements which the audit firm or the auditors identified in the financial statement during the audit. Let's say in the financial statement there are multiple sales transactions which is not occurred in actual, like the evidence of those transactions are not provided by the management to the audit team. So it means there is a scope limitation. Scope limitation, if you focus on this word, scope limitation means the auditor's scope is limited by the management. So whenever there is a circumstance in which the management is not providing any information to the audit team, then it is a scope limitation. And based on the scope limitation, the audit firm or the auditor expresses opinion. Sorry. Also, if there is a misstatement in the financial statement, misstatement means error or fraud in the financial statement, then auditor shall also have to evaluate whether the misstatement is material or not. Materiality is the percentage. Let's say the audit firm determined the materiality based on PBIT, profit before income tax. PBIT percentages for the materiality are 5% for the lower end and 10% for the higher end. So 5% of PBIT is 1 million, 5% of PBIT is 5 lakh or 5,000. Now, there are transactions in the sales which are above 5,000, 5% of PBIT. Now, those transactions are misstated. So, based on these transactions, there is a misstatement. Auditor shall express their opinion. So, opinion is determined or drafted based on two conditions: if there is a misstatement or there is a scope limitation. Now, guys, this section shall state identifying information that is auditor has audited and the entity financial statements, identifying title of each statement and period covered by financial statement. Then this section shall state auditor's opinion, that is, whether financial statements have been prepared in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Remember the lecture number 2, and give true and fair view. Now, guys, the wording of the auditor's opinion are standardized wording. Standardized wording means the ISA has defined the wording which every audit firm around the globe should have to follow. After the opinion, we have a basis for opinion. Basis for opinion include the reasons on which the opinion drafted by the auditor. So the reason of the opinion mentioned in the basis for opinion after the auditor's opinion paragraph. This section shall be presented immediately after opinion section. In this section, auditor shall state that he has conducted audit in accordance with ISA's, fulfilled ethical requirements relating to independence and sufficient appropriate evidence, chapter 3, for his opinion. Refer to the section that describe auditor's responsibilities. Now, guys, here we have a drafting example of unmodified opinion and basis for opinion. Now you can see the wording of the opinion heading is changed. If you can see in the report format, we have the auditor's opinion. But now the heading is example of unmodified. Unmodified means there is no error, there is no misstatement, no scope limitation. Means everything is clear. So guys, whenever everything is clear, whenever everything is clear, it means clean opinion, means unmodified opinion. So this is the wording of the unmodified opinion. Let's read opinion. We have audited the financial statements of ABC company. ABC company is the client. The company which comprised the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2001 and the statement of comprehensive income. These are the five components of the financial statement which we have covered in the lecture number 2, and the statement of comprehensive income, statement of changes in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. Once you cover these things, then the auditor expressed their opinion. Now, in our opinion, financial statements give true and fair view of financial position of ABC Limited. If you watch the lecture number 1, the reasonable assurance. So this entire wording comes from the reasonable assurance, because in this wording, in the unmodified opinion wording, the auditor indicate that we obtain all the information. So it means financial statements give true and fair view. Okay guys, you do not need to memorize or learn these things. This learning object is just for your understanding, like how the audit report is presented and how the audit report is drafted. Okay, so you do not need to memorize or rote learn these things. This is just for your understanding. If you remember in the start, I have mentioned you that I will not just give you the syllabus related things. There are some extra things because this is the last exam of first or the last exam in your skills module. So if any student did not want to learn the extra things, then please you can skip these lectures. Now guys, after the opinion we have a basis for opinion. Again repeating, basis for opinion wording are not standardized wording. So there is a margin of little addition or deletion. But in the opinion paragraph, the exact wording have been used by the audit team. Now, basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing (ISAs). Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements of our report. We are independent of the company. The key word, the first thing which we have learned before these three chapters, the independence of the company in accordance with International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, the code, and we have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. After that, we have a key audit matter. Key audit matter are those matters which are most significant related to the current year, communicated to the those charged with governance. Key audit matter is only included in case of listed company report. If the company is unlisted, then CAM will not be included. Also, there is an exception in case of listed entity. Still, the entity is a listed, but there is a disclaimer of opinion. Once we move to the next learning object, then I will tell you what is the disclaimer of opinion. Disclaimer of opinion in the simple term means your opinion is not clean. In this report, the opinion is clean and the client is a listed. That's why CAM is included. Now, guys, after that, we have other information. Before reading the other information content, let me tell you what is the other information. If you remember in the start of the AA lectures, I have mentioned you that we are only responsible to express opinion on the financial information. In the company's annual report or annual account, there are other information as well. If you solve the lecture 2
question number 1, then you may better understand this thing. Now, in the company's annual report, there are other reports such as other informations as well, like director's report, chairman's review report, and so on. So, other information means any information, any report other than financial statement. You should have to restrict yourself to the financial statements only. We, as an auditor, did not provide or express an opinion on the other information. Why? Because we are only responsible to provide reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud. So, whenever you will get a question on the other information, remember we as an auditor never express an opinion on the other information. Now, guys, information other than financial statements, such as director's report, chairman's review report, auditor is not responsible to express an opinion on other information if there is an inconsistency between financial statement and other information. Now, guys, you may think if we as an auditor did not provide opinion on the other information, then what's the purpose to include other information paragraph in the audit report? Now, this is your answer. If there is an inconsistency between financial statement and other information such as director's report, then auditor shall request management to resolve this inconsistency. Okay, let me tell you with the example. Let's say in the financial statement of ABC company, the sales are decreasing by 10% as compared to last year. Whereas in the director's report or chairman's review report, it's mentioned that the sales this year is increased by 10% as compared to last year. Now, guys, it means there is an inconsistency between the financial statement sales and the other information sales. Now, you have to check which one is correct. Let's say financial statement sales are decreasing in reality. So, it means the inconsistency is with the director's report. Director's report shows misconduct of information. So, now you have to contact or communicate to the management. Please resolve this inconsistency. If management resolve the inconsistency, then it's good. If management is not willing to resolve the inconsistency, then you have to communicate to the those charged with governance and ask the those charged with governance, please communicate to the management to resolve this inconsistency. Otherwise, due to this inconsistency, we will include other information paragraph in the audit report. Why? Because we are working for the shareholders, for the users, for the general public. So for the general public understanding, we have to include anything which can affect their decision making. So now read it. If inconsistency is not resolved by management, then auditor shall ask the director TCWG to communicate management to resolve this inconsistency by stating that it will affect the reporting. Affect the reporting means if the management is not willing to resolve after communicating by the director, then of course the auditor will include other information paragraph. And other information paragraph shows that the report is modified. Modified means there are changes, there are errors. Please do not confuse by the word report modified and opinion modified. Whenever the word opinion modified means there is a misstatement or scope limitation. Report modified means there are additional paragraph due to which the auditor is including those information in the report. That's why the report is modified. These two are different terms. Opinion modified means there is a misstatement or scope limitation. Now, guys, If still there is an inconsistency, then auditor shall include other information paragraph in audit report in which auditor stated that there is an inconsistency between financial statement and other information. It could be director's report, chairman's review report for the user's better understanding. After that, we have responsibilities of management. In the responsibilities of management, you have to write the responsibility. This section shall state, describe management responsibility for. We have covered the management responsibilities in the lecture number 2. Financial statements, internal control. Remember the premise of an audit: management is responsible to provide all the information to the auditor, access, unrestricted access. Remember, assessing entity's ability to continue as going concern. Going concern we will cover in the later stage. This section shall also identify responsibilities of TCWG. TCWG, those charged with governance directors for oversight of financial reporting process. After that, we have responsibilities of auditor, like our responsibilities regarding audit of financial statement. This section shall state that overall objective of auditor is to obtain reasonable assurance whether financial statements are free from material misstatements and to issue report that include auditor's opinion. Further description shall include responsibilities of auditor. Now these are the further responsibilities. To identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statement, we covered in the yesterday class, lecture number 3. To perform audit procedures and obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. To obtain understanding of internal control. This is very important because mostly students got confused between the implementation and design of internal control. We as an auditor never implement or design internal control. It is the responsibility of the management. We also not express an opinion on the ineffective internal controls. We just give the recommendation to the client to improve their controls. And for the recommendation, of course, we need to obtain the understanding of the controls. To evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies, the accounting policy used by the management, we have to evaluate either they are reasonable and accurate, because estimates involve significant judgment and uncertainties. To conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of the accounting. To evaluate overall presentation and whether financial statements achieve fair presentation. In the lecture number 2, we have discussed this thing in more detail. Please do not skip any lecture. Auditor's responsibility to communicate to TCWG. This is very important and the most favorite topic of the examiner. Auditor's responsibility to communicate to TCWG about these things. Do not write these bullet points. Okay, we have separate topics once we move to the later stage. Planned scope and timing of audit. Significant findings identified during audit. Statement of compliance with ethical requirements only in case of listed company. These two last responsibilities only communicate in case of listed company. Key audit matters. I have told you about the CAM already. Now guys, this is the location. Just for your further understanding, you can read it. Now we have a 9. Other legal and regulatory requirements. Whenever an audit firm is going to perform the audit, we conduct audit in accordance with ISA's international standards on auditing. But we also have to fulfill the legal and regulatory requirements of the region in which the audit firm is registered. So this other legal and regulatory requirement depends on the specific region in which the audit firm is performing the audit. So for this paragraph, you just give it a plain reading. Now, 10. Auditor's signature and name. Depending on local requirements, means the regional requirement, audit report can be signed in the name of audit firm or in the personal name of auditor, means in the name of partner or in the name of audit firm, or both as appropriate in the local jurisdiction. So these are conditions about the locality of the specific region. Name of engagement partner is required for listed entities unless there is significant personal security threat to engagement team members. Security threat shall be discussed with TCWG. After that, we have a date of auditor's report. In the entire report format, we have covered from A to Z. So the sequence of these numbers should be like this. Date of auditor's report. The date of audit report should be on or after the date on which the auditor obtains sufficient appropriate evidence, means when all the work has been done, including evidence that financial statements have been approved by appropriate authority, board of directors. Once the FS have been approved, have been logged, means no more adjustment made in the FS, then the audit report should be signed by the audit partner or the audit firm. Date also indicate that auditor has considered the effect of subsequent event. Subsequent event means events occurred after the balance sheet date but before issuance of the financial statement. This is the chapter number 20. So no need to worry at all. Everything mentioned in these four chapters, because guys, these four chapters are very important, which give you the entire understanding of your remaining 15 or 16 chapters. There are 21 to 22 chapters. Now, auditor's address. Auditor's report shall state the location, usually city name, where the auditor practices. Now, from point 1 to point 12, we have covered the basic structure of the audit report in case of unmodified opinion, means the clean opinion. There is no misstatement or no scope limitation. Now, guys, these are the additional elements. Additional elements means if there are certain events and conditions due to which these paragraphs, these matters will be included in the audit report. These paragraphs or these matters will not change the auditor's opinion. This will only change means modify the audit report. These paragraphs will not modify the audit opinion. This will just modify the audit report. Now guys, let's start reading this. Additional elements, that is elements which make report modified, not opinion. Modification in report just like changes, whereas opinion modified means misstatement, error, fraud, or scope limitation in financial statement. Modified opinion and basis for modified opinion in case of misstatement, scope limitation. If you remember in the previous slide, we covered the example of unmodified because the opinion was unmodified in the previous case. But now there is a misstatement due to which opinion is modified. So you have to make the wording for the modified opinion and basis for modified opinion. If auditor's opinion is modified, auditor shall also describe nature of misstatement or scope limitation in this paragraph. This is not related to you because in your course AA, you do not need to draft the opinion, okay, and you will not get this kind of question. Now guys, we have a material uncertainty relating to going concern, the favorite topic of your AA examiner, if relevant, if there is a chance. This paragraph is included if there is a material uncertainty related to going concern and that uncertainty is adequately disclosed in financial statement. We will cover in the learning object 6 to 8. Emphasis of matter and other matter. Now guys, we are done with the structure, the content of the report. Let's start with the real learning. So these are the few questions. If you want to solve, then please go ahead. Case studies are mandatory. These are the assignments which will give you the understanding. Either you will pass this exam in this attempt or not. So case studies are mandatory. Now guys, learning object 2, listed versus unlisted companies audit report. What's the difference? In case of listed company, auditor is required to include following in the audit report. Auditor's responsibility to communicate a statement of compliance with ethical requirements to TCWG. Key audit matter section, however, not included if disclaimer of opinion is expressed. Name of engagement partner, however, not included if there is a significant personal security threat. Now, guys, part B till last part, you should be attentive. I am again repeating from part B to the end of this lecture, you should be attentive. Let's start learning object 3. Deciding type of opinion on financial statement. Now you will understand what's the reason and how the opinion are modified. Before reaching an opinion, auditor shall evaluate whether there is a misstatement or scope limitation. Whether effect of misstatements or scope limitation is immaterial, material or pervasive. We will learn these three terms. Based on these three terms, the opinion is drafted. Now, examples of misstatement. First, you have to understand what is a misstatement. Till now, you just learned that misstatement is the error or fraud in the financial statement. Now, from now onwards, you will have a better clarity about the misstatement and scope limitation. Misstatement is the difference between what AFRF means the applicable financial reporting framework. Financial reporting framework already applied by the management on which the FS is prepared. So misstatement is the difference between what AFRF requires and what is included in financial statements. A misstatement in financial statements may arise in relation to following. So these are the three possibilities due to which misstatement arises. First one is the appropriateness of the selected accounting policies. Means the accounting policies selected by the management are not appropriate. Let's read. The selected accounting policies are not in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Of course, if it's not according to the framework, then it is not appropriate. The financial statements do not correctly describe an accounting policy. If financial statement is not disclosed or describe the correct accounting policy, then how the users will understand that this is based on which policy? So again, there is a misstatement. Financial statements do not represent or disclose transactions and events in a manner that achieve fair presentation. There are some transactions, related party transactions are always material even if they are zero amount of transaction. Related party means the transactions made between the company owners or the close family relationship, key personnel, like from shareholder to the management, from management to the management daughter, from management to the director, director to the management, like these. So related party transactions are always materials and they should be disclosed. If any disclosure is omitted from the financial statement, there is a misstatement. Misstatement is not just related to the amount, it is also about the disclosure, the significance. The application of the selected accounting policies. It means this accounting policy is selected, but it is not applicable. Selected accounting policies are not applied correctly. Errors in application of accounting policies. Again, there is a misstatement. Selected accounting policies are not applied consistently, means there is an inconsistency. Last year, the depreciation policy was 10%, this year it is 8%. So, how it is possible? You have to check the circumstances. Not consistent with prior year or with other similar items, and auditor does not concur. Concur means auditor is not ready or accept with this change. Last thing is the appropriateness or adequacy of disclosures. Now the misstatement number 3 is all about the adequacy of disclosures in financial statements. Means anything disclosed is not adequate or appropriate. Financial statements do not provide all disclosures required by AFRF. Disclosures in financial statements are not in accordance with AFRF. I will show you each and everything once we will cover the entire chapters. because now we are at the early stage, so there is no point to show you the real documents. Financial statements do not provide the disclosures necessary to achieve fair presentation. So, guys, these examples of the misstatements you have to read because these are very important. Now, guys, there is a note. If management discloses a misstatement in notes, means in the disclosure notes, it is not a substitute of correct accounting treatment. Means if there is a misstatement in the note, then you will not consider it as a substitute of the correct accounting treatment. Now, exam tip: auditor's course of action if a misstatement is identified. Auditor accumulates all misstatements, means you have to adding together all the misstatements identified during audit, communicates them to management on timely basis, and request management to correct them. If management does not correct a misstatement, auditor shall communicate these misstatements to TCWG and shall request them to correct it. If management are corrected before signing off auditor's report, auditor shall express unmodified, means clean opinion. Now the opinion is changed based on the misstatements. If misstatements are not corrected, still there is an error or fraud. Auditor shall express qualified opinion if effect is material. Materiality, on the materiality we have a separate topic or chapter, which is chapter number 9. So, auditor shall express qualified opinion if effect is material, or adverse opinion if effect is pervasive. Pervasive effect means more than material. If misstatements are intentional, means willingness of the management, it will also affect other aspects of audit. Other aspects means client integrity, reputation. These are the other aspects. Now, guys, we are done with the misstatement. Now, scope limitation. This is the second thing which can modify the opinion. Scope limitation arises when auditor is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence on which to base his opinion. If you are not able to obtain SAAE sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then how will you express the opinion? Let's read it. Examples: a scope limitation on audit may arise in relation to following. First, circumstances beyond the control of entity, means there are few circumstances which is not in the control of the management, such as natural disaster or the damage or destroyed in the company's accounting records department. Accounting records of entity have been destroyed. Example, by fire, computer virus, or other natural disaster. Now, this is not in accordance with the or in control of the entity. So, this is a scope limitation because audit team is not able to verify. Accounting records of entity have been seized indefinitely by government authorities due to any rules violation. Government authorities seize the entity. Circumstances relating to nature or timing of auditor's report. Now, this is very important. The timing of the auditor's appointment is such that the auditor is unable to observe counting of physical inventories. Let's say the audit team appointed for the conduct of the inventory count after the year end. So now we all know the inventory count is conducted at the year end. If the audit team is appointed after the year end, then of course the inventory movement, inventory reconciliation will be changed. There are some purchases, some sales, so you have to do the rollback transactions. Like sales should be add back and purchases should be deducted in order to arrive at the year end balance or the year end quantity. Entity is required to use equity method of accounting for an associated entity, but auditor is unable to obtain financial information of associated entity. It means entity A has 50% investment in entity B. So entity A has significant influence in the entity B. So as per IAS 28, entity A should have to use equity method to record the entity B investment in the report. But Auditor is unable to obtain any information which proves that the equity accounting method is appropriate. Substantive procedures alone do not provide sufficient evidence, and entities' internal controls are also weak. Means the test of details performed by the audit team is not provide sufficient appropriate evidence. Also, the entity's internal controls are weak. So this is the scope limitation as well. Now, there is a last which is limitation imposed by management. Means management is restricting. Management prevents the auditor from counting the physical inventory. Management prevents the auditor from sending external confirmation to a party. If you remember the receivable payable examples, we confirmed the balance of the receivable and payable from the third party. So if management is not allow or willing to send the confirmation to the third party, then it's a scope limitation imposed by management. Management does not provide written representation to auditor if auditor request. Note, there will be no scope limitation if auditor is able to obtain evidence from alternative audit procedures in above cases. Further, if accounting record is not available, not maintained or destroyed or seized, auditor shall also qualify his opinion regarding proper book of accounts. This is according to the regulatory requirement. Remember, in the start, I have mentioned it depends on the geographical region. Now, guys, we have exam tips. We covered misstatement and scope limitation due to which opinion is modified. So, from now onwards, whenever anyone asks you what is the difference between the change or modified in the audit opinion and in the audit report, so you have to tell them that the opinion is modified if there is a misstatement and scope limitation. And audit report is modified if there are additional matters such as other information, key audit matter, emphasis of matter, material uncertainty relating to going concern, other matter paragraphs. Exam tip: auditor's course of action if a scope limitation is identified or faced. Auditor shall perform alternative audit procedures to obtain evidence. If evidence is not obtained, auditor shall express qualified opinion if effect is material, or disclaimer of opinion if effect is pervasive. Now, guys, please, we just start the term material and effect is pervasive after this action. If scope limitation is imposed by management, this will also affect other aspects of audit. Other aspects such as auditor shall reassess integrity of management, increase risk of misstatement. If effect is pervasive, auditor shall withdraw from engagement. Look how significant the effect pervasive is. If effect is pervasive, auditor shall withdraw from engagement. If withdrawal is not possible means you are almost near the completion of the audit. So of course, in that case, you can't withdraw. Also, the government or the higher authorities such as regulator are not allow you to withdraw from this engagement due to any reason. Then in these two conditions you cannot withdraw. Auditor is required by law to continue the engagement or practicable audit substantially completed means almost completed. So of course you can't withdraw then. Auditor shall express disclaimer of opinion. Now you got the term disclaimer of opinion. If there is a disclaimer of opinion, no CAM, no key audit matter in case of listed entity. Now, guys, please be attentive. Now we will start the terms immaterial, material, and pervasive. These terms are used in audit to describe effects of misstatement and scope limitation. Immaterial means an item which is not material is called immaterial. What is this definition? This is just an item which is not material is called material. Okay. Let's say the materiality amount you have set for your audit of ABC company is 100 million. Okay. Now there are few items, few misstatements which is less than 100 million. Let's say there are 5 items of 2 million each. So 5 twos are 10. Now total 5 items of 2 million transactions accumulated is 10 million. This 10 million is less than the materiality amount, which is 100. So it means this is immaterial. The misstatements, the 10 million misstatements is less than the materiality amount which you have determined for your audit. So it is immaterial. An item which is not material is called immaterial. Now what is the material item? Items are considered material if they individually or in aggregate, means either single or club, could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users, shareholders, stakeholders taken on the basis of financial statements. Materiality depends on size as well as nature of misstatement. Now, the example of the 100 million materiality amount is the quantitative materiality, means the numerical materiality, the financial materiality. Now there are qualitative materiality as well, such as related party transactions. Even if the amount is zero, such transactions are most significant and they are always material. Once we move to the chapter number 9, you will have a better clarity. But now for your understanding, for with reference to chapter number 4, material means you have selected the materiality for your audit of 2025 is 100. Now you have to ensure if there is any misstatement, means any item which is misstatement or there is no evidence of this item, then you have to compare either this amount or there are other amounts. Then you have to compare the single item amount or the combination of all the misstatements or the amounts which do not have any evidence. Once you compare with the materiality amount, if the item amount is greater than the materiality amount, it means it is material, and if it is material, then the opinion is qualified. If it is immaterial, means less than the materiality amount, then the opinion is unmodified. Now guys, what is the meaning of pervasive? Let's say this is 10%, this is 50%, this is 90%. The significance level. Okay, immaterial means clean opinion, material means qualified opinion, pervasive means like disaster. Pervasive effects on the financial statements are those that in the auditor's judgment, the word is judgment. Okay, some tutors use percentage for the pervasive. Some tutors suggest that if the amount of the misstatement is 50% of the materiality amount, then it is pervasive. This is all based on judgment, so no need to confuse. Pervasive effects on the financial statements are those that in the auditor's judgment. Now, these are the judgments are not confined to specific accounts elements of the financial statement. It means if there is a misstatement not in one area of financial statement, let's say there is a misstatement in sales, in receivables, in payables, and fixed assets. Now this misstatement is not confined to single or specific elements or areas of the financial statement, so it is pervasive. Judgment number two. If so confined means if it is related to a specific area, not other areas, like it's only related to sales, represents substantial proportion. Substantial proportion, you can say 50% or more than that. It's based on the judgment. If so confined means if it just relate to specific areas such as sales, represents substantial proportion means the sales misstatement amount represent 50% of the materiality amount of the financial statement, then it will consider as pervasive. Last judgment, the word is or, means any one from these three. Or in relation to disclosures are fundamental to users understanding of financial statement. Now there is a disclosure which is very important for the users understanding, and it is not disclosed by the management. Then you can also say the effect is material. Why? Because this is very significant or important disclosure to the users understanding, and the management have not disclosed, so the effect is material. Now guys, we are done with the misstatement. What is the misstatement? Difference between the financial statement and the applicable financial reporting framework. We also done with the scope limitation, means you as an auditor are not able to obtain the sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Also we done with the effect, immaterial, material, pervasive. Immaterial means if the misstatement is less than the materiality amount. Effect is material when the misstatement is greater, is above the materiality amount. Pervasive means if the misstatement is not relate or confined to single elements or areas of the financial statement. If it is confined to single element of financial statement such as sales, but it's a substantial proportion of the financial statement, or there is a disclosure which is significant or important to the users but management has not disclosed, so you can say the effect is pervasive. Now, based on these three effects, your opinion should be drafted. Types of opinion. Please be attentive. After this lecture, we will not discuss about the opinion. This is the only lectures in which we have spent so much time on the opinion, types of opinion, and other matter. In the last lecture, lecture number 3, we have spent so much time on the evidence. Now, from chapter 5 to the chapter 22, there should not be any topic which will give you the understanding of the evidence. In the chapter number 2, we covered the all the component, the framework, the principal essentials of the proper audit. Also from the chapter 5 to the onwards, we will not cover anything related to the chapter 2. And the chapter number 1 gives you the assurance, types of assurance. From chapter 5 to the onwards, we will not cover anything. So please, it's a humble request, be attentive. Types of opinion. There are four types of opinions expressed by an auditor. Now guys, these are the effects which we have covered above. Now these are the terms based on which your opinion is modified or unmodified. Okay. Let's say there is a misstatement. Misstatement means error or fraud. Inconsistency between the financial statement and the AFRF. Now, if there is a misstatement and the effect is material, just link like this. If there is a misstatement, effect is immaterial. Opinion, unmodified opinion means clean opinion. Why? Your effect is immaterial. Now, there is a misstatement, but the effect is material. Your opinion is qualified. There is a misstatement, but the effect is pervasive. Your opinion is adverse opinion. Now, link it with the scope limitation. There is a scope limitation. You as an auditor are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Now, scope limitation but effect is immaterial, unmodified. Scope limitation, effect is material, qualified. Till now, the opinions are same for both misstatement and scope limitation. But if there is a scope limitation, effect is pervasive, means you are not able to obtain evidence for more than other areas of financial statement. So effect is pervasive due to scope limitation. Your opinion is disclaimer of opinion. Disclaimer of opinion is only given if you are not able to withdraw from the engagement. These blocks are very important. In these blocks, you have learned so many things. Points to note. If misstatements are immaterial, auditor shall also obtain written representation. Written representation we obtain from the management, means management, you should have to write this information from management that effect of uncorrected misstatements are immaterial both individually and in aggregate to the financial statements as a whole. If qualified adverse or disclaimer of opinion is expressed in audit report, auditor is required to describe nature of misstatement or scope limitation in basis for opinion paragraph. So now guys, we are almost done with the opinion. Now we will start the additional paragraphs which will modify your report. Your opinion is modified by misstatement or scope limitations which we have covered above. Study tip. Scope limitation by management affects other aspects of audit, but it does not mean that it is always pervasive. This is very important. Do not consider all the scope limitation effect always pervasive. Okay. As per ISAS, there will be only one opinion in an audit report. Of course, it could be qualified or it could be adverse disclaimer of opinion. Qualified adverse and disclaimer of opinion are also called modified opinions. So do not use the word modified. It's a general. Modified includes qualified adverse and disclaimer. In your exam, you have to use the specific. Qualified if it is material, adverse if it's pervasive, disclaimer if it's pervasive but there is a scope limitation. However, students should avoid using this generic term modified opinion. Now, guys, there are two questions, concept review questions 5, 6. But in the question number 7, we have case study. Let's read this one. Identify with justification how the following items would affect the auditor's opinion. This is very important and very good case studies. It will give you the more clarity on the opinion, auditor's opinion. The auditors have not been able to physically verify the inventory. Which condition is this? Misstatement or scope limitation? Please, scope limitation. The inventory constitutes a material portion. Look, the examiner gives you that the portion is material. So which opinion? Please, qualified opinion. Now, part B. The company has determined the useful life of vehicles to be 10 years, over which they are depreciated. The auditors believe that this life is not justified. Remember, the appropriate accounting policies are not applied correctly and auditor does not concur with the change. So, this is a misstatement. But in this case, it's nothing mentioned that it is material or not. So, you have to write if the effect is material, auditor shall express qualified opinion. If the effect is pervasive, auditor shall express adverse opinion. 3% of total purchases are authorized by the purchase officer rather than purchase manager. 3% of the total purchases are authorized by the purchase officer rather than the purchase manager. Which condition is this? Misstatement or scope limitation? Oh, my fellow students, this is the weakness in internal control. 3% of the total purchases are authorized by the purchase officer rather than purchase manager. This is the weakness in internal control. We do not express an opinion, we just give recommendation. The company is not complying with the provisions of IAS 2 inventory. For valuation of inventory, the company has misclassified capital expenditure on account of machinery as revenue expenditure. The company has not disclosed one of its long-term loans in the financial statement. So there are three errors. No IAS 2 compliance, no classification capital or revenue, no disclosure. Now this is the pervasive as it's not confined to specific single elements of financial statement. Look how important the case studies are. Okay. So now guys, we are moving to the part C, the additional matters which modify your report. Again, repeating, modification of the opinion is different thing which is due to misstatement or scope limitation based on the effect. And report is modified means when there are additional matters. Still, your opinion is unmodified. Your opinion is clean. but your report is modified because of these matters. Now, guys, learning object for emphasis of matter paragraph. Emphasis of matter paragraph means any information which is relevant to the user's understanding of the financial statement. Again, repeating, any information which is relevant to the user's understanding of the financial statement is disclosed in notes to the financial statement. If any information which is relevant is disclosed in the financial statement, then we as an auditor include emphasis of matter to draw users attention that there is an important information for you in the financial statement. So we also include in our report in the EOMP paragraph about this specific information. When to include emphasis of matter paragraph in auditor's report definition relates to financial statement. So the disclosure related to financial statement means the disclosure is included in the notes to the FS. Emphasis of matter paragraph is included in auditor's report if auditor considers it necessary to draw users attention to matter adequately disclosed in the financial statement means the matter is important for the users and is disclosed in the financial statement and is fundamental to users understanding of financial statement. Now provided, make sure the matter is not a misstatement or scope limitation requiring modified opinion. If the matter is a misstatement or scope limitation, then it will affect your audit opinion. If your audit opinion is modified, then of course you cannot include EOMP. Are you getting this thing? EOMP and other matters are only included if your opinion is clean, means your opinion is unmodified. Then only these matters are included. So provided is the exception. Provided only included if matter is not a misstatement or scope limitation requiring modified opinion. Also, the matter is not a key audit matter. Why this condition number two? Because if a matter is an EOMP and CAM, then it's a duplication. So that's why you have to ensure that the matter is not a key audit matter. Now, how to pick that the matter is the EOMP or not? You have examples for it. Circumstances when emphasis of matter is included in audit report. If there is material uncertainty means significant, relating to the exceptional litigation or regulatory action. If there is any regulatory action and the material uncertainty, then this will be considered as an EOMP and it is necessary for users understanding, so it should be disclosed. Significant subsequent event occurs. Example, fire after the year end destroying one production facility. So it's a significant event which is relevant for the user's understanding. It should be disclosed in the financial statement. If it is disclosed, then you have to include EOMP in the audit report. If it's not disclosed, then of course it's a misstatement. So your opinion should be modified based on the effect. If financial statements are reissued or corresponding figures are restated, means previously the financial statement was unadjusted, there are some adjustment required. Now they issue the financial statement. Of course, it's a reissued or redrafted financial statement. So now it is relevant for the users. When a major disaster significantly affects entity's financial position. Let's say this year there is a natural disaster like a flood which affects the entity's ability, affect the entity's operations, everything. Entity can't continue to operate. So this is again a significant event because based on these conditions, the users make their decision. So it should be disclosed. If it's not disclosed, then it's a misstatement. Early application when permitted of a new accounting standard that has a material effect. If a financial reporting framework is unacceptable but is prescribed by law or regulation. So guys, these are the 6 to 8 circumstances which you have to pick if there is an EOMP. Now, exam tip contingencies. If there are routine tax contingencies, these will be included in CAM. If there is a single major tax investigation against company, it may be included in EOMP. Now, how EOMP is included presented in the report, this is not relevant to you. Why? Because you do not get question regarding the drafting of the paragraphs or the additional matters. Why I included this thing? Because it's my promise that I will teach you each and everything because you are going to be the next auditor. So how EOMP is included presented in the report? This paragraph is presented as a separate section under the heading EOMP in audit report. Auditor may add further context to the audit. The major heading is the EOMP. Then you have to pick the EOMP which we have covered here. Let's say there is an EOMP about the subsequent event. So your heading should be EOMP dash subsequent event. In this paragraph, auditor shall state the matter being emphasized, the reference to the notes in the financial statement which fully describes the matter. That auditor's opinion is not modified in respect of the matter emphasized. So this is the drafting of the emphasis of matter. Subsequent event drafting. We draw attention to note X of the financial statement which describe the effects of a fire in the company's production facilities. Our opinion is not modified in respect of this matter. Again repeating, you do not need to memorize or learn the drafting. This is just for your understanding. What you should have to learn or memorize, these are the things on which I am spending much time. Okay? Now, placement when it comes. Now, guys, other matter paragraph. What is other matter paragraph? EOMP relates to the financial statement, other matter paragraph relates to the audit. Let's say last year audit was done by another audit firm, but now this year audit you are conducting. So in the audit report, you have to include other matter paragraph in which you mentioned that the last year financial statements was audited by another audit firm. So look, this is related to audit. So other matter paragraph wordings or the drafting related to the audit. If any information relates to audit, it is included in the other matter paragraph. Other matter paragraph is included in auditor's report if auditor considers it necessary to communicate a matter which is not required to be disclosed in financial statement. Means it is not required to disclose, but is relevant to users' understanding of the audit or auditor's report or auditor's responsibility. If auditors think that these are the information which is relevant to the users, then auditor should include in other matter paragraph. Provided again there is an exception. Communication is not prohibited by law or regulation or professional standards. Why there is no wording about the opinion modified? Because guys, it's already mentioned it is not required to be disclosed in FS. So if it is not relevant for the financial statement, so of course we can't modify the opinion as we are responsible to express opinion on the financial statement whether financial statements are free from material misstatement due to error or fraud. Point number two, matter is not a key audit matter. Example of situation circumstances when other matter is included. You may get any of the example in your exam. If financial statements of prior period were not audited or were audited by another auditor, then if auditor thinks it is relevant, then it is included in the other matter paragraph in the auditor's report. Situation number two, if auditor issues report on more than one sets of financial statement. Example, entity prepared one set of financial statement under general purpose framework and other set under special purpose framework. Let's say one as per the IFRS, one for the US or UK GAAP. If auditor restricts distribution of auditor's report when financial statement and audit report are prepared for a specified user. Let's say company is going to acquire financing from a bank and the bank demand an audit report and the audited financial statement. Now, auditor made it very clear that this report is only for the bank, not for the general users. Now, it's restricted by the auditor, the distribution of the auditor's report. So, this information should be included in the other matter. Why? Because auditor should have to protect their liability by writing this thing in the other matter paragraph. Then auditor has already restricted the use of this report only for the bank for the purpose of financing. If there is a scope limitation by management whose effect is pervasive, remember the case study question we solved, the last part of that case study. And withdrawal is not possible, practicable. Possible means you are not required by law to withdraw, and practicable means you have already done significant amount of work. You are at the finalization stage. Then this is also included in the OMP. Here other matter is given in addition to disclaimer of opinion. Now guys, again the presentation like same as EOMP. So if you have time then you can read it. Now guys, placement. If a key audit matter section is presented in the auditor's report, other matter paragraph may add further context to heading as other matter scope of audit to differentiate it from matters described in CAM section. Now guys, part D, this is very important and the most favorite topic of your AA examiner. Examiner will not leave you without this topic. So before starting this topic, let me tell you about the going concern. What is the meaning of going concern? Going concern means you have to evaluate whether the particular industry or the entity is continue to survive in the next 12 months. How will you evaluate this survival? Of course, there are some events and conditions. Let's say the production facility of the entity is not producing major units which are required by the market. Now, due to less production, the sales of the company or the entity is declining. So from this point, from this event or circumstances, you have to check for the next 12 months, either this entity will continue to survive, will continue to operate or not. If the entities continue to operate, so it means the entity is a going concern, means continue, going means continue to operate. If you ensure that the entity is not continue to survive, so it means the entity is not a going concern. The second example is company is facing liquidity issues. Company does not have enough cash. Company is already in debt. Now company is going to acquire finance from multiple financial institutions and the negotiation for the financing are in process. Now you as an auditor aware of these things. Why? Because it is the responsibility of the management to disclose all the relevant information to the audit team. Now you aware this thing. So now how will you ensure that the finance will be provided to the entity by the financial institutions? Of course, you have to perform the procedures. What are those procedures? First, you will discuss with the management or the board of directors. How will you ensure that you will get this finance? Of course, company will give you the like lay terms that yes, we are in negotiation, we will get this finance, it will help us in the liquidity position. But if you remember the topic, the lecture number 3, evidence, internal evidence is less reliable. So how will you ensure the reliability? Of course, you will communicate with the financial providers or financial institutions. You will ask them either you are going to provide finance to the entity or not. So they will give you the better idea. Then based on their terms, on their negotiation, you will evaluate either the entity will acquire funds in the next 12 months or not. If the entity is going to acquire the funds, then it means the entity is a going concern. If the entity is not willing to acquire the funds, so it means entity will not continue to operate. Now, guys, meaning of going concern means entity will continue to operate in foreseeable future, that is 12 months. If there is a material uncertainty means there are events or conditions which gives you the doubt on the entity's ability to continue as going concern. If there is a material uncertainty related to going concern of the entity, it should be adequately disclosed in financial statement. If there are events or conditions which may cause doubt on the entity's ability to continue as going concern, this thing should be disclosed by the management in notes to the financial statement for the users of the financial statement. If going concern assumption is not appropriate, means now it's proved that entity cannot continue, means entity is no more going concern, then management should prepare financial statement on alternate basis. Alternate basis means your all non-current assets or non-current liabilities will be recorded as the current liabilities and current assets. Why? Because you will not operate more than 12 months. So all the long-term liabilities, long-term assets will be converted or will become current assets. Now, guys, learning object number 6, risk assessment procedures to identify events conditions which may cast doubt on the entity's ability to continue as going concern. Auditor shall perform following risk assessment procedures. Procedures are the favorite, okay, and related activities to identify events or conditions which individually means either single event or multiple events or collectively may cast doubt on entity's ability to continue as going concern. When performing risk assessment procedures required by ISA 315 we have covered in the yesterday class, considered whether events or conditions exist. Remain alert throughout the audit. Professional skepticism, class 2 topic. Discuss whether management has identified any events or conditions during preliminary assessment of going concern status and ensure that management assessment covers 12 month period at least, means not less than 12 months. Considers all information of which auditor is aware. Inquire about events conditions beyond period of assessment. Now, guys, in simple terms, going concern means either entity will able to continue its operations in the next 12 months or not. If it's continued, then it's a going concern. If it's not, then you have to check. Now, guys, these are the events and conditions which give you the doubt on the going concern status of the company. Financial conditions, operating conditions, legal and other conditions. Financial conditions. Substantial losses or negative equity means company is in substantial losses, and the equity means net assets, or you can say total assets minus total liability is in negative. It will be how it will be in negative? Of course, your total assets is less than your total liabilities. Net liability or net current liability position. Liability exceeding assets. Negative operating cash flows, liquidity issues. Operating conditions. Management intention to liquidate entity or to cease operations. Loss of key management means personal relationship, supplier, customer. Loss of major market, loss of largest customer. If you are going to lose your large customer, of course your cash flows, your sales will be declined significantly. How will you sustain? You are losing your largest supplier. If you are losing your largest supplier and there is no alternate supplier, then of course your competitor is going big day by day. Labor difficulties, legal and other conditions. So these are the events and conditions which cast doubt on the entity's ability to continue as going concern. Again, repeating, going concern is divided in three parts. First, you have to ensure either the entity will operate in the next 12 months. If entity is able to operate, then it means the entity is a going concern. Good to go. If there is a possibility that entity may not operate, then there is a material uncertainty, and this uncertainty should be disclosed in notes to the financial statement. Condition number three, if you 100% ensure that the entity is not able to operate in the next 12 months, then it means entity is not a going concern. Financial statement should be prepared on breakup basis. Now, guys, study tip. If there is a significant delay in approval of financial statements, auditor shall inquire reason of delay. If auditor believes that delay could be related to going concern issues, auditor shall perform additional audit procedures. Now, these are the additional audit procedures. Additional procedures if events conditions are identified means once you have identified the above events conditions, auditor shall perform following procedures to confirm whether material uncertainty exists and whether going concern assumption is appropriate. Procedure number one, evaluating management's plan for future action. If you remember the finance example, and whether it is feasible means whether either the company will obtain the funds or not. Obtain representation from management. Representation should be obtained from management in this regard regarding future plans and their feasibility. If management has prepared a cash flow forecast, evaluate data used is reliable because management will always try to show themselves in a better position if they are going to obtain a finance. So for the cash flow forecast which they are going to submit to the financial providers, you should have to evaluate the assumptions, the data used in the cash flow forecast. Consider effects of subsequent event on going concern assessment. Read minutes of the meeting of shareholder director regarding financial difficulties, reports of regulatory actions. Inquire legal counsel regarding existence of litigations and claims. If there are any litigations or claims, then you have to inquire with the legal advisor of the entity. Confirm existence and adequacy of borrowing facilities supporting from directors holding company. This is also you can say the related party transactions. In most of the cases, entities obtain funds from the directors or from their holding company. Now, state any five audit procedures you have to write. This is a concept review question. Now, guys, implication for auditor's report very, very important. Please be attentive. Conclusion effect on audit report. I already mentioned going concern divided in three parts. Then only you will understand it. First, if going concern is appropriate, no material uncertainty means entity will continue to operate. There is no bad thing about the entity, no events or condition. Auditor shall express unmodified opinion. Why? Because there is nothing bad provided events or conditions are adequately disclosed in financial statements. However, auditor may determine one or more of these events to be CAM, key audit matter, if they are significant, related to the current year, and communicate to the those charged with governance. This is the definition of CAM. Now, guys, going concern is appropriate. Still, there is a chance that entity can continue, but material uncertainty exists. Means 50-50. 50% chance that entity can continue, but 50% chance that entity cannot continue. Then, in that case, you have to ensure adequate disclosure is included in the financial statement. Means if in this condition there is a disclosure about this condition given in the notes to the financial statement, then auditor shall express an unmodified opinion and shall include MURTGC paragraph in his report which shall state, okay, now you can ask a question, if the information is already included in the financial statement, then why we include in the auditor's report? Please guys remember or recall the things. This report is for the users. So for the user's understanding, we have to include anything which is relevant for the users. Events conditions that indicate material uncertainty, reference to the notes in the financial statement which fully describe the events condition. So this is the drafting of the, and you know drafting is not relevant to the double A course. Then why this drafting is included? Because you will get the idea, the clarity how MURT is included. This paragraph should be included after opinion and basis for opinion. If adequate disclosure is not included in FS, means if there is no disclosure about the uncertainty, then there is a misstatement. Auditor shall express a qualified opinion if effect is material or adverse opinion if effect is pervasive. Look, you have to use the if condition. Auditor shall also state in basis for qualified adverse opinion paragraph that material uncertainty exists and that the financial statement do not adequately disclose this matter. Opinion should be given in the opinion para and the reason for the modified opinion given in the basis for opinion para. Now, guys, the last is going concern assumption is not appropriate. Means now it's 100% sure that the entity cannot continue as a going concern. If financial statements are prepared on a going concern basis, even though the entity is not a going concern, but the management is still preparing the financial statement on a going concern basis. So now, guys, this effect is all about the financial statement. It's not confined to specific single elements of the financial statement. So effect is pervasive. Why? Because it's about the overall financial statement. Auditor shall express an adverse opinion. Now, if financial statements are prepared on an alternate basis, liquidation basis, breakup basis, value basis, auditor shall express an unmodified opinion. Why? Because there is no misstatement and shall include EOMP paragraph in its report to draw users' attention. If you recall the EOMP circumstances number 5 in which this line is mentioned. So this is how examiner will play with you. Now we have a material uncertainty exit disclosure paragraph drafting wording. Again, this is just for your understanding. Now, guys, communication with TCWG is very important. Okay. Auditor shall communicate with TCWG events conditions, casting doubt on going concern, and shall also communicate whether GC assumption is appropriate or not, whether events or conditions constitute material uncertainty, adequacy of related disclosures, implication for the auditor's report. Now, guys, we are just left with the last topic, CAM, key audit matter. These are few questions. Case studies are must. If you want to pass, then case studies are must. Otherwise, it's up to you. Because these case studies will be tested in your exam as well. So, case studies are must. Now, guys, last part, CAM audit matters. Before starting the CAM, let me recall you when to include CAM. If your client is a listed, then CAM is must. The only exception is if there is a disclaimer of opinion. If there is a disclaimer of opinion due to scope limitation, then no CAM, even in case of listed entity. But you can also include a CAM in case of unlisted company audit. When? For unlisted company, key audit matters section may be included if it is required by law. Means if law says that you should have to write or is considered necessary by auditor in case of public interest entities like PICs, like banks, insurance companies, pension funds, and charities. Then only CAM included in unlisted company. Otherwise, CAM is only for the listed company. In the listed company, if there is a disclaimer of opinion due to scope limitation, then still no CAM. Now, guys, determination of key audit matters. What are CAMs? Those matters that, in the auditor's professional judgment, were of most significant. Most significant, these are the in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. These three words are very important. Most significant, current period, can are selected from matters communicated with TCWG. Means they are the matters which communicated to the TCWG, relates to the current year audit, current period, and are the most significant. Now, determining the CAM, determining key audit matters involve two steps. From matters communicated with TCWG, determine which matters are most significant and therefore key audit matters. Now, Factors to consider in determining matters which require significant auditor's attention. So these are the factors which you should have to consider in determination of the matters regarding CAM. Areas of higher risk or significant risk as per ISA 315. In the yesterday class, we discussed this. Areas of significant auditor judgments. Significant events or transactions that occur during the period, related party transactions. Areas of complexity and significant management judgment. Yes, such as depreciation rate, amortization, lease schedule, anything. Nature and extent of audit efforts needed to address the matter. Extent of specialized knowledge or skill needed. Of course, this is relevant and it's important. Nature of consultation outside the engagement team means from the third party. Significant transactions with related parties or transactions outside the normal course of business. Importance of matter to users' understanding, which are relevant to the shareholders. Now, guys, examples of key audit matters, provided these are properly accounted for and disclosed. Goodwill, intangible assets, deferred tax, leases, self-constructed assets. Assets carried at revalued amount, valuation of liabilities, significant accounting policies or changes therein. Areas where work of expert or component auditor, these are the areas or the examples of CAM. Other areas, revenue additions to PPE, inventory, debtors, long-term loan may also be CAM if they met criteria. The criteria is most significant, current period, communicated to TCWG. Now, impact on CAM if auditor's opinion is modified. Now, what is the impact on key audit matter if auditor's opinion is modified? Means it could be adverse, disclaimer, and qualified. Qualified adverse opinion is by nature a key audit matter. Therefore, a reference to the basis for qualified adverse opinion should be included in key audit matter section. If there is a disclaimer of opinion, then no CAM. Communication with TCWG regarding CAM. Auditor shall communicate with TCWG matters which auditor has determined to be CAM or auditor's determination that there are no CAM to communicate in audit report. Now, guys, again, there are two concept review questions. This is the last learning object communicating key audit matters in report. How to include CAM in the audit report. Key audit matters are described in audit report under the heading Key Audit Matters using appropriate subheadings. Let's say first you write the CAM, a broad heading or a main heading, then you have the subheadings related to the each CAM. First heading related to the goodwill, second heading related to the revaluation, like this. CAM, main heading, introductory language in this section shall state that key audit matters are those matters that in our professional judgment were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of current period. These matters were addressed in context of audit of the financial statement as a whole and informing the auditor's opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. We have determined the matters described below to be key audit matters. Now, these are the matters which you should have to write. So, this is the drafting of the CAN. Revaluation of PPE. Refer note X to the financial statement. You do not need to memorize this thing, okay? Refer note to the financial statement. Company has recorded its land, building, and machinery at revalued amount. Now, once you write this thing, then you have to write why this is the key audit matter. We identified revaluation of PPE as a CAM because its amount is material to the financial statement. In addition, process of valuation is a highly complex and judgmental. Now, these are the factors which involves assumptions and methods affected by future economic and market conditions. How the matter was addressed in our audit. Assessed competence, capabilities, and objectivity of expert. Obtained revaluation report from valuer and discuss with management and expert appropriateness of assumptions and methodology used First, you identify the CAM and why it is a CAM because it's the most significant. Then, how the matter was addressed in audit, like how will you address this matter? So, you have to write these procedures. So, now, guys, there is a learning object 12 communicating with TCWG regarding modification. If the auditor expects to include modified opinion, means qualified adverse disclaimer or emphasis of matter or an other matter or CAM or MUR TGC paragraph in his report, the auditor shall communicate with TCWG the circumstances, the reason that led to such modification and the proposed wording to be included in report. This communication enables TCWG to be aware of modification that auditor intends to include in audit report. TCWG to have an opportunity to obtain further clarification from auditor or to provide. It depends on the TCWG and circumstances. Or to provide further information and explanation to the auditor regarding the matter causing modification. Auditor to obtain concurrence of TCWG approval regarding facts of the matter. So now guys, I hope I will make this entire chapter, the most giant chapter of double A, very easy for you. If still you are facing any issues, then please comment down. Try to communicate with me. Communication is the key to success. If you do not share your feedback, so how will I ensure that you are getting the content from my lecture, that you are getting the concepts or not? Please try to communicate. If any student feel difficulty, try to comment down. Now, after each lecture, there are suggested answers of the concept review questions and case studies. So once you done with these questions, then you can compare your answer with the suggested answer which are given in the end of this lecture. So now guys, from tomorrow onwards, we will start the real audit. These first four chapters are the core topics of your AA syllabus. After these four chapters, like from the chapter 5 to the last chapter, we will not cover these things again. So, if any of you skip these four lectures and directly move to the chapter 5 and onwards, then trust me, you will face significant difficulties. So, please ensure that you must watch these lectures. Take care. Goodbye.